There's a lot of reaction coming in after the firing of FBI agent Peter Strzok. Strzok is at the center of a political firestorm after his anti-Trump text messages surfaced about a year ago. The president pointing to the text as proof of political bias within the agency, tweeting this. Just fired Agent Strzok, formerly the FBI, was in charge of the crooked Hillary Clinton sham investigation. It was a total fraud of the American public and should be properly redone. Kellyanne Conway, senior counsel to the president, with me this morning from the North Lawn. And Kellyanne, welcome back and good morning. Good morning to you. I got a number of things to tick through. Let's get to them. He's raising a lot of money online. How does his termination change the story for your boss?
You see the boss is very active this morning expressing his opinion on Peter Strzok. This is a man who was fired by the FBI. Why? Because the inspector general there determined that he did two big things. One is he tried to tip the scales. He took action against a sitting political candidate. He didn't just put his thumb on the scales of justice as a very high up person at the FBI. He just sat on the whole scale, put his whole body and slammed into it. And that's number two. Number one, and most importantly, he was being anti-Trump in his text messages. Tens of thousands of text messages exchanged between 2015 and 2017 on his government phone. In addition, he put on his private email a highly sensitive search warrant. So this is somebody who was flouting the laws. It has a trust relationship with this country, given his very senior position in our FBI. Everybody watched his testimony a few weeks ago. He was just a jerk with a smirk, and now he's just a sort of two-bit ex-FBI employee with a Twitter feed and some GoFundMe page. Well, but everybody should know he was in charge. Yeah, but Bill, this isn't charge. Why is it relevant? There's 35,000 people in the FBI. This is a guy who was in charge of two investigations and was political about it. He started in the Hillary Clinton email server investigation, favored her, started digging up dirt on Donald Trump because everybody was so worried, including partisans like him at the FBI, that Hillary Clinton was such a weak, pathetic candidate. They had to prop her up from the beginning, and here we are. Okay.
I don't disagree with some of the premise you're making there, but the president has a choice in this also, Kellyanne. He can release some of these documents. He has the authority to make them public. There must be a reason why he's not doing that. What would that be? Is he getting counsel that it would not be wise, or what would the answer be?
That is up to the president, and you're right, he has that discretion. But he's been very clear for a very long time, as have some members of Congress, that there's a frustration that some of the documents they've requested out of the Department of Justice have been coming at a glacial pace. It's picked up recently, and the more that it's released, the more we learn about Bruce Orr and his wife, Nellie. Bruce Orr is still at the Department of Justice. Why? He still works at the DOJ. Why is this person there who was working with Fusion GPS, Christopher Steele? You saw the text messages over the weekend. I hope you did. Maybe on this network, basically nowhere else. And the president's absolutely right. If people want to investigate what was happening, the shenanigans in 2016, and may I point out, after Donald Trump was elected, much to the disappointment and the consternation of these people who didn't want it and didn't expect it, they were still trying to do that.
Have told him, don't make these documents public?
I will not comment on that. I stopped practicing law a very long time ago, happily. But at the same time, as counselor to the president, not counsel to the president, I will tell you that the president has respected the process all along. We've been very patient as this investigation has gone on over 1.2 million documents, over 33 witnesses, and yet we see every single day the revelations are coming out on the pro-Hillary left side of the ledger here. It's good that Strzok is gone because there are 35,000 or so rank-and-file FBI agents who don't deserve someone like that at the top representing them.
I know Omarosa is getting a fair amount of attention, and I know the response has been swift from the president of the West Wing. Here was the tweet late night last night. Mark Burnett TV called to say that there are no tapes of The Apprentice where I use such a terrible and disgusting word is attributed by wacky and deranged Omarosa. I don't have that word in my vocabulary and never have. She made it up. What do you want to add to that today, Kellyanne?
What I've said previously, which is I have never heard the president issue a racial slur about anyone in the 2+ years I've been working alongside him without interruption. And I would further say that Omarosa, who I considered a colleague here and a friend for a very long time. A lot of us women put together a shower for her before she got married. I know her mother. I know her husband. I always thought I had a good relationship with them and with her. And so I want to say she never pulled me aside, never said to me hey, listen, I heard the president say this and I don't know what to do with it. So not only did I never hear it, but I think she's out there saying she had never heard it either. In fact, right after she was fired, she said she had resigned. And then she said, she was asked point blank, do you think Donald Trump is a racist? She said, no, I wouldn't have worked there if I thought that. And so, I just think that when your boss is, as she called him as recently as this morning, her mentor, that was their relationship, that he was a mentor, that she grew up in poverty in Youngstown, Ohio, and she wanted to be like Donald Trump. And for somebody who had opportunity after opportunity by Mr. Trump, now President Trump, candidate Trump, for 15 years, it does seem ungrateful to go and record people in the Situation Room. I see a lot of Democrats out there and national security experts who aren't exactly pro-Trump or pro-Kellyanne Conway out there saying, hold on, you're tape recording, you have a device in the Situation Room. People are very concerned about that.
I've spoken to her about her own history with the president. I know the president's not happy about it, but here was the tweet from 2 hours ago. When you give a crazed, crying lowlife a break and give her a job at the White House, I guess it just didn't work out. Good work by General Kelly for quickly firing that dog. That dog. I know he's not happy about this, but is that language necessary?
I'm telling you that I'm disappointed, and I think that the best play for Omarosa would have been to take credit for a lot of the great things that Donald Trump has done for this country, including for African Americans. He's pro-school choice and charters. That helps them get out of some of these failing schools. He's working on prison reform. He's working on drug reform. He obviously has presided over the lowest unemployment rate among African Americans in our nation's history. That should be the headline practically every day, and we rarely hear it. But I know those folks, I know that people in every community, including the African American community, feel it, because you look at some of the polling, people were crowing about the 1% of approval that Donald Trump had among African Americans in one of those bogus media polls. Now in one poll, it's up to 29%. Why?
But you have
because
the
they know
option,
he's doing well
I
for
get
them.
it, but you have the option to talk about the economy all day long, and I know it's going to be a big headline for coming up midterms. I'm just asking about the language right here, referring to her as that dog and just driving the story of Omarosa and likely selling more books for her along the way, which I know you don't want to do and the president doesn't want to do either. The other thing we could be talking about is this defense bill that was signed in yesterday.
Yes,
they had a big
absolutely.
event at Fort Drum in upstate New York. This is a big deal for the U.S. military. You could be talking about that.
Well, we are talking about it, but you get to ask the questions. It's your show. So thank you for letting me get in there. Something incredibly important that happened yesterday. The president presiding over up at Fort Drum, and you saw the enthusiastic crowd there of our brave men and women in uniform. He's presided over the signing of over $700 billion in new funding for our military. What does that bill do for the U.S. military? It does. The top line is it gives revenue and respect to a military that received little of it, or too little of it, for far too long. And what this president has done through the omnibus, through the NDAA, is that he is telling our military and telling the world that our military will have the equipment and the resources and the respect that they need to be the greatest military in the world. This president believes in peace through strength, and the peace part is important and the strength part is important. So, and you see these enthusiastic crowds, it tells you exactly what America is focused on and what's important. And this president promised during the campaign that he would be pro-military, pro-veteran, pro-law enforcement, and that he makes good on that every day. I'm stopped in the street every single day having people thank me, people of all backgrounds, and they particularly mention how pro-defense, pro-military, pro-veteran, pro-law enforcement this president is. Thank you, Kellyanne. Good to have you back here, all right? Kellyanne Conway from the North Lawn. Thanks.